And if you guys have any questions in the meantime, feel free to throw those into the chat. Feel free to introduce yourselves into the chat. I want to welcome everybody and thank you all for being here for the first call that we're having for what's going to be a new community that I'm sort of transitioning into. And it's called the ADUplay Community in the school platform. So I think a lot of you guys have joined from that community, but many of you guys probably from Instagram, from just my own network. And so today's call is going to be super basic, right? Some of you guys are in the ADU space. You guys kind of know what that looks like. I'm just here to give you an overview. And because I'm recording the call, this is going to be a recorded call in the school community under the ADU Basics phone call. At the same time, this was also meant to be like our first session for all of the students who have taken the course. And I know that we have some here today. So if they stick around for the second half of the call, which by the way, it shouldn't take more than an hour for today's call, I'd like for them to chime in and share a little bit more insight on how the ADU community course has helped them in their business, whether they're a real estate investor or a real estate professional. So with that, we're going to get started. So myself, Stephanie Gutierrez is your host, part of the community. I'm an ADU expert, ADU consultant. I'm also a real estate professional. I have a real estate team. I have a podcast, which today I did 2 episodes on all things ADU and real estate. And I'm consistently bringing new people with new perspectives around the idea of this whole ADU strategy to showcase what can be done in this current market. On top of that, I also do events. So I coordinate certain events that align with my vision. If it's advocating for ADUs, if it has anything to do with collaborating with like women in the space, investments, I'm there for it. And then I also am a community builder, right? So a lot of this, I'm going to be throwing out the school ADUplay community on this call because that's where I really want people to start shifting like their energy and their focus. That's where I will be also spending a lot of my time in and just making it a great space for all of us to interact and kind of build from there. So, and everybody can see my screen, right? We're good. Awesome. All right, so I can't see you guys, but we'll get to the questions. And again, this is ADU basics. For those of you who understand the ADUplay, you guys can hang around with us for the next 10, 15 minutes. And once I give clarity on that, for those of you who don't know what ADUs are, then we're going to dive deep into the course and, have a more high level 2.0 conversation on the second half of the call. So understanding ADUs, right, and where we're at and why they're so popular in states like California. Understanding what an ADU is really going to help you. So let's start there. ADUs are self-contained living spaces that have their own kitchen, bathroom, sleeping facilities. And the reason why people are building these is because we are in a housing shortage, which is what I'm going to get to next. But understanding what an ADU is, right? It's technically like a new ground up construction project that you call an ADU. So it's the term is newer to us, but we've been doing this for a very long time. I actually did a podcast with Stacy, who is a permit processor, and we were just having a conversation and talking about how 100 years ago, 80 years ago, people were living in high dense areas already, and they were also co-living and coexisting in back houses, casitas, rumpus rooms, and things that we used to call something else rather than an ADU. So that's that, right? That's what an ADU is. Why are they popular? So I talked about housing shortage and why we're in such a low inventory type of market right now, right? There's a huge demand, not enough homes for sale or homes available in places like California and honestly nationwide, but obviously in higher denser cities like California, being one of them, LA, San Francisco, San Diego, these are going to be very high dense areas. So people have to get creative. If there isn't enough inventory, then we have to create inventory by converting space or adding space to an existing structure, right? So what has allowed for that hype to really come to fruition is legislation. Legislation really allowed for ADUs to kick off in 2017 when the state basically said, hey, we are in a need of, housing. We have an affordability issue as well. So we are going to allow for everyone to build in the state of California, and cities and counties and municipalities cannot oppose it, meaning they cannot say that you can't build one, right? It's by right that you're able to build an ADU. So when that happened in 2017, it started taking off, right? A lot of people started really understanding the concept, understand the cities did too. And in 2020, there was another update in legislation which really favored ADUs, and now you're able to add more than one. And I'll get into that as well. But it's understanding that really it's like legislation was all in favor of ADUs, aligning that with housing shortage and understanding that we have an affordability issue. All of those things combined, and then also adding understanding workforce, right? There's a lot of people in places like, let's say San Francisco, who don't want to really commute out 60, 90 miles out, and they still want to live there. Same situation in LA, right? People don't want to drive to Riverside an hour and a half, 2 hour commute every single day because they can't afford to live in those cities. Same thing in San Diego, right? People are having to go to the outskirts of the city because they can't afford to live there. And ADUs really allow for that flexibility. So I think in my mind, the way I see ADUs is it's very flexible as well. And it aligns with the workforce and the lifestyle, and you're able to really kind of, hit every single aspect and bring it to where people have options and they're able to actually live in those cities that they're working in, and it aligns with their value. People don't really need huge spaces anymore. So smaller places, and I'm not talking very small, right? Because with ADUs, you can build up to 1,200, in some cases even bigger than that. But that's a pretty decent space in high dense areas where you can still live pretty comfortably. So understanding that's the whole hype, and that's why they're very popular right now, because it really allows for flexibility. And the state is also saying, hey, we're going to do everything that we can to help you get there, right? So with legislation, there's a couple bills that have passed. There's a couple that are being entertained right now. But just to name a few and kind of highlight some of the popular ones is AB 1033, where now you're able to condoize your ADU and sell it off at some point. Again, I was having a conversation with a permit processor yesterday, and we're talking about the Subdivision Act and how that's going to really increase the costs, right? As far as ADUs, we understand what the process is going to look like to condoize these units, because places like Seattle are already doing this, right? They're already selling it off. So now it's just a matter of like getting the cities to really grasp that concept, and also the consumer or the investor understanding like, well, how long is it going to take? Because a lot of people are throwing it out there like, oh, now you can sell off your ADU. But what people don't understand is that if you're going to actually go through the condoization and the subdividing of, you know, um, the subdividing process, it's going to take about a year, and it's going to be pretty expensive, right? Now, there's obviously different strategies, and these are some of the things that I'm going to be talking about in our like weekly calls or monthly calls, where we're talking about different strategies around how to really leverage these opportunities. But that's really the main one. And the main thing to highlight with AB 1033 is that cities have to opt in, and they basically have to raise their hand and say, hey, I would like to participate in being able to be one of the cities that is pro housing, or whatever you want to call it, where they're actually like willing to take this legislation and apply it. So as some cities continue to adopt it, like I think San Jose's one, Sacramento's in the works, Santa Monica's in the works, Berkeley, there's going to be a lot more cities that will continue to adopt it. And I don't see us selling a whole bunch of ADUs this year, but it is something to keep in mind, right? Um, when you're thinking long term, it may be a good idea to really hone into this legislation. So it's understanding these legislative uh, laws and how to apply them, and how to have conversations with yourself if you're an investor, with investors if you're a real estate professional, and how they play a role. Another one that I could highlight would be that for this doesn't apply to junior ADUs, which is anything under 500 square feet. You don't need the homeowner, the owner occupancy, which is huge because as an investor, now you can really look at the property as highest and best use, and you don't have to actually live there, right? The other ones are addressing, like this one here is addressing the pre-approved ADU program, which really is pushing cities to have pre-approved plans available. Cities like LA, San Diego, and other cities have already started doing this, but this really helps reduce the time and the costs in the long term, right? So you really get to save time and money. And as you guys can see, legislations keep changing. 2017, 2020, 2023. We have some right now in 2024. And so all these changes are really in favor of ADUs, and they're just trying to make development a lot easier, which for you guys, right, as an investor or as a real estate professional, this is great. This is great information that you need to understand how to digest. And you could, one thing that you could do, and I'll kind of show you guys how to navigate through the school platform, is understanding the HCD handbook. If you read that handbook, you'll really get a grasp of how to stay updated with legislation and how to understand the data, or reach out to a professional like me and like some of the people here. I talked about how ADUs create flexibility. I know that in places like, again, California, which is the market that I mainly work, but nationwide, it's an affordability issue. So a lot of people are building them for cash flow purposes or to offset other expenses like their mortgage or, other expenses, maintenance, things like that, or just to produce income in general, right? So the two common ones are income producing, flexibility, and then also assisting a family member. But there's many different ways to use to use ADUs as flexibility. I just did a podcast right now with someone who homeschools both of her kids, and she's also been through the ADU process. So we talked about how ADUs really create flexibility short term and long term. If you don't necessarily need the cash flow right now, and you're having thoughts of maybe working from home, being able to homeschool your kids, this really allows for that flexibility to build something where you can temporarily homeschool your kids and then at some point be able to rent it out, right? Or vice versa. Like another scenario would be you have an aging parent. Rather than putting them in assisted living, that's going to be 7 to 10,000 a month. You may be better off using some of that equity that they currently have and build an ADU that's customized to their liking. Maybe have them live in that smaller unit, and now you guys co-live, and coexist together. And it's cost effective, and it's also just better quality living. So again, these are just ideas, right, as to why people are building and the flexibility that comes with it. Popular question here, and I like to be super transparent. How much is an ADU cost, right? So these numbers are always changing. And going back to the legislation part, as legislation favors for ADUs, and now eventually you're going to be able to sell them off and with inflation and all these other factors, they were going to go up, right? We've already seen some of the impact fees go up. And even though they will go up, I will say that they are still the better play. Rather than buying a single family home, it is much more cost effective to build, right? Even in today's market with these numbers. So the average cost is always changing, but here are some rough numbers that you can work with right now if you're considering building one. Garage conversion can run between 125,000 to 150,000 or more. It really depends on many different factors, which is something that my team and I can help you with. But you're really looking at not just the conversion, the garage conversion, but everything around it, right? We're talking utilities, power lines, sewer lines, everything. There's a lot of components that come into it, but realistically, these are some numbers. 125 to 150 for a simple garage conversion of 400 to 500 square feet. Ground up, if it's a smaller unit, you're looking at 155, and if it's closer to 1,200 square feet, you're looking at 300,000, if not more. If you want to get very customized with finishes, it could get pretty expensive pretty quickly. And if you want to build above the garage, which a lot of people I know are concerned with the fact that, you're Like everybody's converting the garage. What's going to happen with the with parking, right? And so many people, if you want to keep the garage and maybe build on top, it is going to be a little bit more expensive, but definitely worth it if you want to keep the parking as an amenity. If it's going to be a rental, you can definitely rent it for a much higher price if you're offering parking in places like LA, San Diego, Sacramento, high dense areas, right? So those usually run for about 200 plus because you have to make sure that everything gets reinforced and that you're actually able to build and that whatever you're building up top, the bottom can sustain. And most of the time, these garages aren't built for that. So that's why it's expensive. But is it worth it? 100% if it's especially if it's for rental purposes, just to keep integrity of the garage and then I'll offer it as an amenity for the tenant. Time frame. So what are the time frames for, let's say, a garage conversion? Typically, it could be between 9 to 12 months, but I like to be super conservative. So I'd say 12 months, for a garage conversion. Many factors come into play as well. The city, the construction, who you're working with. It's very important to vet out who you're going to work with and understand that they have relationships with the city. They have a pretty streamlined process in how they work. And most importantly, that they have experience so that they can foresee a lot of the issues that may come up. And they really understand the code as well, right? In the event that they need to maybe school some of these cities at times, because the cities are also trying to keep up, right? We're going back to the legislation conversation. Because legislation is being updated constantly, cities are also having to adapt, right? And consistently like pivot and learn. And so it takes a lot. There's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of people involved. So 12 months for a garage conversion. If it's a ground up construction, it could be a year to a year and a half. So part of that, it's broken up into two phases. The design phase is 3 to 6 months, and the construction phase can be 5 to 8 months. So in total, about a year and a half or so. And then the ADUplay community. So I'm working on a ADUplay community in the school platform. As many of you guys who are on here have seen, it's going to be a community that's intended to help you with your ADU journey, help you build a vetted network and connect with other like-minded individuals and potentially even have partnerships that come about from that as well, right? Here's a way that you can contact us. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna give you guys a quick walk through the school app to kind of show you guys how you can leverage this, how you can stay connected, and potentially even have a conversation with me offline after this. And then I do want to hear from some of the students here because I'm going to show you guys like the course that I've been working on as well, which I have a couple students here who can maybe share what they've learned, right, and how it's helped them. And if you join the community, I am giving you access to module 1. So let's first start off with the community itself. So when you join the community, you'll see this back end here. And I've added a couple resources here that you can get started with to, again, understand the ADU process if it's new to you. If you are 2.0, this isn't for you. We're going to get to the 2.0 in just a couple minutes. The ADUplay is for real estate professionals, investors, and anyone in the ADU space who's eager to expand their knowledge and leverage the play. So understanding the ADU HCD handbook will be great. I've also attached some best practices. If you want to become a member of the Casita Coalition, I would highly advise for you to do that. It's not that expensive, and they give a lot of value around legislative updates and, understanding how to digest all that. So under the community, there's different categories that I created. And I want your guys' feedback, right? This is going to be constantly changing and tweaking and figuring out what works best for us. But under the category of ADU discussions, you'll be able to share whatever it is that you need, have, or would like to share. For example, you're having issues working with the city or working with an architect. Maybe you want to share that on here. Maybe you want to share a win. You want to share your process. It's basically like a general board where you can go in and communicate with a lot of us on there. There's already a few members here that are in the ADU world. so you can connect with them and just have a dialogue and have a sense of support, right? Under ADU potential deals is where you can be a real estate professional who maybe has a listing that has ADU potential and you want to share it here. Or maybe you're an investor who's looking for ADU potential deals. This is where you would go and look at all the ADU potential deals that we have in the platform. So basically anything to do with investing and that it has ADU potential in places like California, that's pretty much anywhere, right? But that's where, you'd want to tap into that category. ADU rentals is for ADU rentals. So it's anybody who either has an ADU that they want to rent, whether it's midterm rental, long-term rental, and in some cases, short-term rental, if it allows it, right? There's very few counties and cities that actually allow for ADUs to be uh, at a short-term rental or considered a short-term rental. So it's important to understand that, but that's where you'd be able to share that. So if you have an ADU for rent, you want to go on there. If for whatever reason, maybe you're looking for an ADU for rent for yourself or a family member, that's where you'd want to go in under that category. Under the ADU vetted network, that would be anyone who has been vetted. I'm big on vetting people because that's how I got started in the ADU space. I didn't do proper vetting because I didn't know enough about it. So now my mission is to make sure that we create not only a safe space, but really vetted people. And if they're not who they say they are, then we're definitely not allowing them to be part of the group, right? So this can be architects, it can be contractors, it can be property managers, brokers, title reps, escrow officers, anyone who you think that, would be of service in that ADU journey, which is everybody that I just mentioned, by the way, would be under the ADU vetted network. I also have all the podcast episodes. So for those of you who don't know, I do have a podcast dedicated to all things ADU, and all the episodes are on here. So all this is free for now, right? Until we figure out what the premium option will look like. All the call recordings, like this one here right now, will be under call recordings. And so that's that within the categories. If you wanted to post something or share something and be of value and be a service, you can share anything here under the post and write something. So this almost acts like a Facebook community, right? But the cool thing is you also have different classrooms. So for those of you who have joined, you get, the start here, and it kind of instructs you as to what to do when you start. Once you join, what do you do? And it's kind of everything that's in here is kind of what I just went over with you, right? So you click there under the start here. I do have a course that I haven't actually release the actual course, because that'll be for premium members, and we do have some people here who have already taken the course, so I want them to kind of share what their thought process is with the course. But what I did do was I created the ADUplay Lite, which is not entirely the first module, but enough for you to get a glimpse of what is included in the course, right? So the course is broken down into 10 modules, talks about the introduction to ADUs, the legal framework, the ADU design and construction, evaluating, financing, marketing. It really goes into detail from a real estate professional standpoint, right? On how to digest this information, how to talk to clients, how to up your sales, how to create branding, marketing, and build a community, kind of like what I'm doing, right? So I'm kind of sharing my journey and what I'm doing. So that's that, and I've given access to anybody who becomes a member to have access to that first module. And then if you want to upgrade, once we have this one live, then you'll be able to upgrade to that. Now with the calendar, this is going to be really dope. I will have, as of now, we'll have 4 calls a month. The first one will be the ADUplay Basics, which is the one that we're doing right now, right? Where we're talking about the basics of it, and just this will be for a lot of like the new people who are joining and really don't know where to get started or don't understand the ADU concept to its fullest. They'd want to join this first call every single month. The second call, I'm going to have an ADU guest speaker. So next month, I'm having Stacy, who I did a podcast with yesterday. And we had so much information, like I just told her, you need to come back. So this is a podcast with her. She has over 40 years of experience and she's a permit expediter. So a lot of questions, right? Where if maybe you have questions on your process and your journey, you can come into that call whenever I do have Stacy, which would be on the 10th. And we'll dedicate a certain amount of time for you to ask her questions live. So the second Wednesday of the month, I'll always have a guest speaker that has a lot of knowledge around ADUs or just real estate in general that can be of service and help you in your, with your goals. The third call of the month will be a Q&A. So we're going to leave that very open. We're gonna have a lot of like the students who have taken the course come and join and also help other people. And then the last call will be 2.0. So we'll be bringing different strategies, around ADU concepts. So we're not going to be talking about what are ADUs. We're going to be talking about how to structure deals, how to maybe underwrite deals with ADUs, how to look at zoning, how to, actually read a feasibility, things like that, and really help analyze deals on a 2.0 type of level. So really cool stuff that I'm working on. You guys will also be able to see all the members on here. Definitely introduce yourself when you become a member if you haven't already, and that's part of the get started, phase and instructions. So you'll get that. And that's pretty much it. So that's that with the community. I'm really excited for that and I hope to grow with you all. Now we're going to talk about like the course, right? And like some good stuff because I feel like most of us on here are real estate professionals. Who on here is an investor, isn't a realtor or wholesaler? Anybody on here? Okay, so all of us are real estate professionals. I would say, let me pick on Keisha. I know you've taken the course and I know you've done a couple ADUs yourself. What would be some insight for not only the course, but like we have our own community, right? The ADU Women's Mastermind, which we're having next week. And we'll probably have to, see how we integrate those calls with the community. But yeah, like what impact has the community had for you, right? And then what sort of insight would you give to people who are interested in like maybe taking that course?
Especially if you're a real estate professional,
I don't think I can hear
time
you.
can you hear me? Are you still
I
not
can
able?
hear you. I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay. Um, so if you're a real estate professional, taking the time to invest in joining the community and taking the courses is going to give you so much confidence to be able to help buyers and sellers, and also just connect with people like on another level, because maybe they're not ready to build an ADU, but being able to come to you and you having the information makes you that resource, another point of contact, right? Like if your passion is exercise, then that's another contact away for you to network them. I've learned so much from Steph personally, and just sometimes it's like you think you know, but you don't know. And so this extra layer of Steph is connecting with people like the permit person, and I'm listening to these and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even think of that. Or the person that she had the other day that was, what's her name, and she is building, she's all about leadership and how you,
Yeah, Corley, construction. Mm-hmm.
right. And Corley's like thoughts and processes on how to build your team out and all of that was so useful, and I didn't even know that I needed it. So if you have the opportunity and the means to participate in the community on any level, I'd encourage you to do it, and I look forward to getting to know you all better. Any other questions, Steph?
No, you're good. That was perfect. No, and I really appreciate you because I know that you're doing a lot for the community and we're doing it together and it's really nice to just see, our impact and us being able to help one another and help others at the same time. So I think you investing in the course means a lot to me. I know that it also helped you and your journey and us building together. It's just going to continue to grow. So I'm glad you shared that, right? You shared that insight. So make sure you guys follow Keisha. I'm also going to have her as a guest speaker. I talked about having a guest every single month. I'm definitely going to connect with her and have her so you guys can ask her any questions. And yeah, I mean, just staying tapped into a community really helps you in many different ways. It helps build your confidence. It really helps you build out your network. It's helped me do all of those things and more. And then eventually create partnerships, right? I'm in a transition right now where I'm moving from residential into multifamily with the intention of creating partnerships and being able to scale investments much faster than I could on my own, right? So those are just some of the hacks that I would have never had access to. I've actually would have never opened up my mindset if I wouldn't have been in rooms with people who really push me out of my comfort zone, right? I think let's see, who else can I pick on? Jamie, I think she's also taken the course. I don't know if you want to give some insight and share a little bit.
Hi.
Hello.
Um, yes, so I was extremely like green with the ADU and started following Steph, and I was getting really excited, and she was just so much information she was giving out. And then followed you to the academy, and I still was like, I didn't have the confidence, and there was, I wanted to go and I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to have the knowledge, but it was like I was picking pieces everywhere, and you're just kind of like everything's just scattered, and you're like, I really don't know if I can even have a conversation. And so, and then I found out about the ADU play that she had, and I could not stop, like, the information, I couldn't stop watching it. And every module is just structured so perfectly with like when you're done with that, you feel like a professional because she gives so much information and downloads and just writes everything out where you're just like, oh my gosh, okay, I get this. I can talk this at least enough to you think you don't know enough, but when you start talking it and seeing what you have, you realize at that point in time, like, oh, okay, I am understanding the people that I'm speaking to are getting value now from the information that I'm carrying over from the ADU play. So to me, I've been talking to different realtors, and I was like, you want to build your business right now. You're thinking, how can I do this? You want to get in some niche, but you don't know where to go. I'm like, start here, start with ADU play. You will be so much value to your clients and feel confident, and then it just starts from there. And then just the community and everything else that she does, just being part of this right now is huge, and it's life-changing, and you will be able to help others. So
Thank you. Yeah, and I would say same goes for me, right? And connecting with you and Keisha, I mean, we've been able to do so much together. I met Stacy, who's your permit processor for your development deal. So you actually knew a thing or two about ADUs more than you thought you did. Let's be real here. I mean, you do a whole bunch of development projects in Hermosa Beach, and so you understood the concept, but I think maybe taking the ADU play just gave you that reassurance. Like, okay, yes, I'm on the right track. Yes, I'm actually having the right conversations. I'm not off. It's because at the end of the day, it is development, right? So people try to overcomplicate things and think that the ADU is like this whole other process that has nothing to do with development. And it's really just that. It's development 101 at a very smaller scale. But having that sense of community just opens up your mindset to doing a lot more. So I'm very grateful that both of you guys reached out to me. You guys held me accountable to really do something like this, for us, for all of us as real estate professionals. And hopefully, that helps other people as well. And then eventually we're already thinking of ways to collaborate with each other, right? And work with each other. And that's the beauty to it. It's like we're not just in it for these transactional ADU, projects. We're really in it for long-term relationships that will cultivate a community. And I think that this goes for all of you guys. I would even encourage all of you guys to build your own school community. I told Keisha, I told Darcy, I think I had the conversation with Jamie. So it's also not being stingy with the energy. It's like we can all do this. And if whatever you guys see me doing, you can rinse and repeat the process. I think I'll pick on Gladia next since we're talking about this whole school idea. And she's actually taken the course, right? As you guys know, we live together. So she's taken the course, but she's also we're holding each other accountable and building this community. So I don't know if you want to touch a little bit about like what you thought about the course, what you think about it so far, and then your thought process from the operational standpoint with this whole community building.
Yes, I'm on my iPad. Hold on. There we go. You guys see me? I'm all like, hopefully it doesn't echo because you're on the other side of the wall. But yeah, it's really exciting because that's kind of like what we bring to the table with each other. We're both in the real estate space, which is a blessing, and also like, you know, we get so caught up in it. But when we started this whole journey of like creating our course, was it back in August or September, and we held ourselves back so much because of the limiting beliefs. And I think probably many people here probably feel that way, like, oh, I'm not an expert, or people aren't going to pay for X. And it's like, just look at what you guys are doing, right? A lot of you guys already have your own projects, have your own ADU investments. So nothing's holding you back. And I think I made a post about this, like, nobody cares about what you're doing, like focus on what you're doing. Because the only person that really cares is you, right? Like, invest in yourself. And so I think with Steph's course, I think once you really like moved all the limiting beliefs, you're just like, I can do this. Like, I have experience, I have all the knowledge, and let me just put it into a course. And it's cool because I've seen the different iterations of it, and it's legit. I even look at mine and I was like, I need to step my game up. So I feel like that's how we approach each other, right? Like, it's I'm very competitive, but we make it fun. So I think with this school thing, I'm really excited because it's just the way, like, once you kind of understand how to use it, you can, it's really like easy way to connect with each other through the app, through these calls. So that's kind of what I'm instilling too with my community, and like focusing on how can we collaborate with the right people on off market. And that's even offering ADU opportunities, right? So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a good topic, which is limited beliefs. And I had this conversation with Keisha where, like, right now, I'm very grateful of the members that we have for the school because I know that it's up and coming. But at some point, there will be a membership fee for it.
Mhm.
So everybody who's here now, you guys are like best timing, right? Because you guys are one of the first ones. So once I up my membership, you know, you guys would be grandfathered into that value. And so it's the importance of building these relationships that will help you build that community and build that confidence that you need. And then really just cultivate opportunities, relationships, but it all starts with you and what you think. So I did have a lot of limited beliefs around doing the course, building the community. But as soon as I stepped into my purpose, right, and which is helping others, especially like other women, and empowering them in many different ways, being super intentional. You know, I have the saying of intentional living. That's what really like helped me get out of my own way and really put something out there that would help other real estate professionals. I mean, we've been doing real estate. I've been in it for over 10 years. So I think I know a thing or two that could help someone else. You know what I mean? But it took me getting out of my own way to really believe that. So I want to hear from some of the other people. I think we're actually on time. You know, I want to dedicate an hour of these calls. Today was really talking about the basics, talking about walking you guys through the course and the community. But we have about a 15-20 minute window to spare. And I want to hear like from some of the other people, like what brought you into school? Why are you here in the circle? How can we connect, collaborate, help each other, and continue to grow? Whoever wants to go.
I'll go.
What's up, Phoebe?
I'm sick. What's going on? Well, I mean, I've known you I met you at Keller Williams as in, the startup of your ADU going along, right? And myself, I'm a realtor as well as I'm now a developer. I'm getting my contractor's license. I also own a solar business with my fiance. So she's my inspector. She's already a contractor of 22 years plus experience. So we have different businesses, and collaboration, obviously, it's key. And I think when I met you, Stephanie, at KW, I told you I admire who who and what you were doing, and you had a real estate team, and that was my goal eventually, right? I think that's what caught my eye off at the beginning when you and I met. And then after that, I mean, creating that, now I have a team of 4 or 5 girls, and the other 3 businesses, but mainly on the aspect that I've been able to get to build already 2 ADUs from scratch already with my fiance, and being able to grasp all the information as a contractor, being shadowing her on every single move from the point of excavating from plans from the dirt. And we build our own Joshua Tree development. We're about to do a 2.5 acre in Joshua Tree as well as our own investment. So for here is just to be able to expand, to see if I can bring any of value to you guys with what I have on. And then always the biggest, the connections that we can have is what else can we grow and how else we can expand, because it's not who you know, it's who you know that you know. So I really look forward to that.
I love that. And I've seen your growth as well, right? In the last couple of years, like who we were 3 years ago is not who we are now. And look at us now, right? Like sharing space. And I would definitely say for all of you on this call, definitely have Keisha, Jamie, and Sandy as part of your network. Now you walk away from this call with 3, 4, 5, however many people are on the call, as an added value, right, to your network, where you can reach out to these people, and we're all here to help one another, and really be there for each other, right? Sandy's been there for me. I've been there for her. We've established a relationship, and we will eventually also end up doing deals together, because I know we've worked on a couple clients, and eventually it's going to happen by default, and same with Jamie and Keisha. And I believe with everyone, first is the connection, that relationship building, and eventually everything else will follow. But just being able to, like, as you said, you've gone through the trenches, you've done all of the shadowing with Annie and watching her through the projects. Same with Keisha, same with Jamie. That insight alone really helps give someone else confidence. Maybe Janet on the call, Sharon, Julie, and who else? Susie. Are you guys real estate professionals? And are you guys if you guys are you guys like having questions about ADUs, or what is the spark in you that, is calling you to kind of learn more about the strategy? I'd like to hear more insight on that. I can't hear you. No, can you guys hear her? Okay, maybe it's me. I can't hear you. Let's see here.
But everyone else can hear me but Stephanie, right?
I can hear you now.
You can hear me, Stephanie, now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, no, I am a realtor. And I have actually built 3 ADUs on like income property, as opposed to like a single family home type thing. And I'm in the process of building a couple more. But I just, I found this, I guess you emailed me, and I kind of found this space, by accident, and I, want to be able to give more value to my clients, or, people have questions. I feel like the more knowledge I have, the more I can help somebody. And people are always asking about it. And, the more we know, the more we go around, you can look at how you could tell if it's AD is going to work well or not, just by going
Right.
over there, just all the knowledge that we know, and we're learning and keeping up with the, the latest laws and rules and stuff. So, and, I'm sure we're all building in different areas. So, there's something to that too, to learn, like, what's that city like, or what, we could share that kind of stuff. Yeah, I just really, like the whole idea of them. And I think it's just all the reasons to have one. There's just almost no reason people, shouldn't be doing this. Just to build, equity and build, wealth. Yeah, and I think, it would be not, I don't know if you've had somebody come on, because I didn't I haven't listened to all of them yet, but I guess it would be interesting to have somebody have the knowledge of how can somebody, finance these. I don't, because I don't really know anything about, that. And that's probably something that's hindering a lot of people.
100%.
Yeah, and it'd be nice to learn about it, or somehow it seems like a good thing that for someone to get into that business. I don't know, anything about financing. So, but
Right.
it would seem to me that if someone could figure out how to like pool money and then let somebody borrow it and do that, that would be like pretty awesome, you know. So I just thought of that. But I'm trying to, I kind of confused because the school is separate than the ADU play.
So
I'm
the
not
ADUplay is is now operating under the school platform. School
okay.
is a new platform that just rolled out. But what's cool about school is that you can build your own community. So if you wanted to go in there and say, I'm going to build the Williamson community, and have it be about ADUs or whatever you want it to be about,
Mm.
you're able to build your own community within the school platform
Oh, I see.
and have, monthly calls, have just a way to
Oh,
cultivate and build your community. So you can do
oh,
this for your own clients and your own network and
oh,
build
that's
something for your own. But I was just sharing what I've been able to do, kind of where I'm going to be shifting my focus, because I can have my monthly calls from there, podcast in there, I can consult in there, I can share, these calls and these conversations that I'm having like with you right now, right? And you brought up a good point around financing. I did an episode with Charles Eddington where we talked about financing. You should listen to that one.
okay.
There isn't an ADU tailored specific product that's going to finance, let's say you're buying a property with the intention of building. There isn't like an ADU program that's going to finance it. You have to get creative, right? And do a new construction, private money, some savings, some cash, maybe even some syndication of some sort where you can bring money together and invest together. But I'd say if you do have property, the two common ways that people are doing it are doing a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, or a HELOC plus a renovation loan. And
Yeah.
so that's a good question, right? Because now if you were to have that question in the chat in the community, you could say, hey, anybody who specializes in ADU loan products, reach out to me. If there's anyone in that, in that realm, then they'd reach out to you through that community, and we kind of all get to see that, right? And that in itself is a lot of insight in being able to have that conversation. But I agree 100%. Financing has a long way to go, but maybe not that long, because now with AB 1033 and allowing you to condoize the units, they will have two separate APN numbers. So under a lender's eyes, that's going to allow for a lot more flexibility as far as financing them
Yeah.
at some point, right? But
I
we're not there yet.
I know there's some cities, I had a friend who got money, a portion of money from the city or the county.
Yeah, cities like
There's some program, but I don't
yeah, I know
know.
the city of Long Beach is working on a financing loan product for all Long Beach residents. So yeah,
That's
some cities are gonna have to get creative and fund some of these projects on their own, but Long Beach is leading the wave. They've got the most amount of ADUs in all of California.
wow.
What
Good to
area do
know.
you service? Yeah,
Well, I have built mine in Lomita and Hawthorne.
you need to connect with Jamie. Jamie's in Hermosa.
Oh, I know I live in Redondo, so
Oh,
we're
there you go.
sure.
Yeah, well, now
Yeah,
you guys need to connect. I'll make sure you
yeah.
guys get connected, and you can connect on the ADUplay community, and then continue to grow each other's not only
Yeah.
knowledge, but just being able to have somebody to call and say, how do you
Mhm.
navigate through this conversation? Do you have someone in this network? And Jamie actually has Nancy, who is great in the lending space, right? And she'll be able to connect you with a lot of people. And you guys can connect each other. And that's the whole purpose of this too, is I'm not just sitting here and like sharing the latest updates, about ADUs. Like anybody can Google that. What we're really here for is to build these relationships that are going to help us in our business. Like Keisha and I were having a conversation where she was talking to me about she's probably done so many feasibilities on her properties. She just didn't really call them that, And so when we had a conversation about what a feasibility is like, she's like, oh, well, I don't really feel confident doing a feasibility. I'm like, you've done over 5 ADUs, like you've done a feasibility. You just don't know that it's called a feasibility,
Mhm.
So it took that conversation for her to just then feel like, okay, I got this. Like I can now start doing feasibilities myself and maybe even start doing them for clients and start charging a fee for that.
Yeah.
And look at it in a way where you're now more experienced and you're really looking out for the client, because if she's done it, she knows. But just those conversations alone. So I will be having discussions around, like what does a feasibility look like? And I'll pull one up. And then I even in my course too, I actually included that in the course to empower people to understand what that looks like. So thank you so much for sharing. I'll go to 1 or 2 more people and then we'll wrap up at 4. I think we have 2 more people. So Sharon and then Jeanette.
Sure, I can go now. So I'm just new to the ADU space. I am a realtor here in California. I just got my specialist certifications in February. So I'm still just learning the whole aspects about ADU. So I'm happy to be here and meet other people and to network.
That's awesome. You were at the ADU Academy in Culver City? Is that where you got
Yes,
your ADU specialist certification?
yes,
Oh, cool. So I was there too. I taught the real estate portion. I don't know if we met
yes,
that.
I remember.
Oh, cool.
Yes, we did. There was so many people there. Yes, I
It
do
was a
remember.
lot of people, but I will say, like now knowing, because I got to see everyone's material, right? So I saw what everybody was teaching, the lending, the real estate, the design and construction. If you took that course, I mean, you are way ahead of the game, like than most
Oh,
people.
okay.
So let me tell you
Okay,
that, like right
great.
off the back. Yeah, more than I'd say 50%, 60% of the people out there. So that in itself should already give you that confidence to know that you really do know. When you walk away from that ADU Academy, it's the ADU Academy that she went to. Very good academy that's led by Cole Peterson, and he puts a lot of thought into really like teaching people every aspect, right? The real estate component of it, the design, from an architect standpoint, the construction side, and then the financing. So you kind of walk away, and many times it could be overwhelming, like you don't know how to connect the pieces. But if you're a real estate professional, I'll break it down to you like this. When you're selling real estate, right, you need a title rep, an escrow officer, you need your home inspector, you need your client, and maybe your transaction coordinator. It's the same concept in the ADU space. You're going to need your architect, your contractor, your lender, whoever's going to finance that. You're probably going to need a title rep at some point. And then,
Mhm.
yourself as the consultant, kind of guiding them through it all. So if you are able to build that team, then now you kind of know everybody's role. And after taking the academy, all that information that you took on that day, which was a lot, will slowly start to make sense, but just keep tapping in. We actually have a call. Keisha and I, we lead a ADU Women's Mastermind, and this is for all of you guys since we're all women on the call. If you guys want to join that call on Tuesday, it's a much more open discussion where we talk about ADUs, but we bring a different theme every single month. So we'll be talking about next week, I think it's marketing and branding, right? So we'll be talking about, as a real estate professional, how do you start marketing yourself as an ADU expert? You've already taken the ADU Academy. I can think of many different ways, and we can bounce off ideas on how you can start positioning yourself. So definitely follow Keisha. You'll see a lot of like her content. Follow me on Instagram. and start getting ideas, right? If your intention is to become, and I'm assuming if you went to the academy and you're a realtor, you're kind of wanting to become that ADU advocate or ADU realtor, right? For your clients or for yourself. So if
Yeah.
that's the case, you know, I don't know if you use Instagram, but using social media platforms and positioning yourself in a way where you're now the expert or the at least the resource. You can start as the being the resourceful one, right? We come up with different
Yeah.
topics and ideas, and we bounce off of each other's content all the time. So again, no stingy energy. We're just here to create space with each other. So definitely join. I'm going to share it with all of you guys. So if you want to join next Tuesday, it's going to be at 4 p.m. PST. And thank you for
Okay,
being here.
great. Yes. Thank you.
Cool. So we'll wrap up with Jeanette and then take it from there.
I'll be very brief.
No, you're good. Take your time. I just want to be mindful of people's time, but we have time.
I'm not a realtor. Pretty much my family just had properties, single family home properties with land on it. So then I started thinking about the land that's being misused. And so then that's when I started tapping into the ADUs. And currently, we just started a month ago on conversion, a garage conversion, turning them into 2 1-bedroom ADUs. Definitely wished I would have known about more academies and stuff, because I've just been like following you, Stephanie, and trying to pick up pieces. I'm like, how does this all work together? And trusting, right, that I picked a good general contractor, and I picked, you know, he's going to pick good subcontractors, and picking the right project manager, that he's going to get us all the right permits. So just leaving it up to faith and hoping they're all going to do the right job. And then so what really intrigued me to be part of this group is just to be able to like make sure that I'm not missing anything, or I'm asking the right questions to this industry people. And one thing I do notice here in San Diego, it's definitely dominated by males. So sometimes it's hard to step
everywhere.
up and talk to them
That's
because
everywhere.
they look at you kind of like, you are who?
Right, right.
So, but yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
That's
I
why
mean,
I'm here.
congrats to you for really taking, you know, that extra step to really do your research and your due diligence. And you're not in the real estate space, but you're trying to find a community. And I'm really grateful that, you know, you came across mine and you're here with us. I think that call again next week, the ADU Women's Mastermind, hence women's, right? Because it is such a male dominated sport. Even for us as real estate professionals, we deal with a lot of that on a day-to-day basis, where we, you know, we're kind of talked to a certain way, dealt with a certain way, because they underestimate the fact that, you know, we're women in the space. And so I would say one of like the first things that you could do is I'll share really quick. In the academy, I know you're already in there because you introduce yourself. I would say if you haven't already, the HCD handbook, hands down, like if you memorize this, you pretty much will be super confident. And since you just started the conversion, I would say become very aware of the rules around it, so that if any issues come up, you kind of know how to defend yourself. But it's who did you choose? I mean, we could talk about it offline, but I can also guide you through like the vetting process throughout the consulting, you know, since you just got started. But I would say the HCD handbook, super great. And then Casita Coalition, if you become a member, they have calls all the time, and they really cater to not just real estate professionals, but homeowners, right? Homeowners and professionals, investors, and they have webinars all the time. This is like where I get a lot of my information and I update myself. Like this is going to be a really good one, right? On the AB 1033 movement, and then also like taxes. So they have a lot of good calls on there that I would highly recommend. And they're not paying me for that. I'm just saying like they're probably one of the best ones out there. And I think is it based out of San Diego? Because I just took the ADU cohort course, and it was with Timothy, who worked in planning in San Diego. So I do have also a resource that works in planning in San Diego. Is that where you're doing the
ADUs?
The ADUs? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely let me know. Did you go with the design and build firm, or did you go with the contractor and that contractor has an architect?
the contractor, pretty much we're depending a lot on the contractor
Yeah.
to give us all
As
the
long as the
resources.
contractor has really good communication with the architect and they both know what they're doing, you should be fine. I mean, San Diego is very pro housing, and they actually have like an additional bonus ADU rule where you're able to build more than in other cities. So you're in a great market as far as ADUs, you know, being a ADU friendly city. But yeah, if you have, you know, and your gut kind of tells you, right, if you've made the right choice or not, if you find yourself like you're in a situation where you need some sort of guidance, definitely reach out and I can connect you with whoever you need to talk to along the way. But just tapping in, understanding the strategy, and as you learn with your own as well, with your own journey, hopefully it'll help you open up your mindset to just scale it, right? Because it sounds like you're starting off with the garage conversion, and then if that all goes well, then you may want to scale into other ones, right?
I want to get addicted.
There you go. That's funny. Well, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your guys' time. Julie, I didn't get a chance to hear from you, but let's connect offline, and let's connect with all of you guys individually. Keisha and Jamie, we're like friends. We talk all the time and we send each other memes. So we get to that level too, okay? Where we actually start sending each other memes. It's not just business all the time. But yeah, definitely want to connect with Sharon, Susie, and you, Jeanette, just to see how we can help each other even more. And I'll see you guys on the next call, hopefully next Tuesday. Play around with the ADUPlay community. Let me know how I can help you guys navigate through it, and then we'll just continue to plug in. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you. Bye.
Thank